We know that one of the most important ways that a child develops their communication or their language skills is actually through reading. However, what many parents don't know is how to properly read to a child. It's not very intuitive, and it's very different from the way that you probably read to yourself.
Welcome to the Beehive Doc Talks with Dr. Blair Rolnick. As a pediatrician and mother herself, Dr. Rolnick is here to answer your most pressing parenting questions and guide you through the tough spots.
Welcome back to Be Kind Pediatrics. Today we're going to talk all about language hacks and ways to help your child increase their language acquisition. Today's hack is going to focus exclusively on reading and how to read to your newborn to infant. So let's start off with where to read to your child. It can be really helpful to set up a space for reading in your house if you have it available. It doesn't have to be a big space, but I recommend that it's somewhere with minimal distractions so that there is not a TV around or screens, that there isn't music or tons of other visual stimuli. It also helps as your child gets to that toddler age to have the same space so that it becomes part of their routine and they're expecting to be read to when they're in that space. All children, specifically toddlers, really thrive off routine, so helping cue their brains into what's going can be helpful. Along those lines, not only having a dedicated space for reading to your child, but having a dedicated time of day can not only help your child expect to be read to, but it also really helps as a reminder for parents to read. There is lots of evidence about how extremely powerful habits are. And so if it's something you continually do and becomes part of your routine, you're less likely to skip it. So now you have your time of day, you have your space where you're going to read. The next important part of this is how to position your child for reading. A common mistake I see is that parents have a book like this in a chair and their child is on their lap looking at the book. Actually, what you want to do is position your child looking at you while you're reading, not you both looking at the book. Because children, especially children under 12 months, their first language skills come from watching your mouth. So it's more important that they can see you and your mouth than that they can see the book. This is why shows like Miss Rachel are particularly helpful and catchy for children because they are watching her speak. The next thing I want to talk about, and probably the most important thing, is how you actually read to your child. So there is actually research that shows speaking in a certain way increases a child's language acquisition. So the first thing that's important is children actually learn better from high-pitched voices, which again, I'm going to keep using Miss Rachel as an example because she's just so popular and so very good at what she does. But Miss Rachel's voice, if you've noticed, is an octane higher probably than most of our voices. And that may be on purpose because children actually learn better that way. So what I mean by that is instead of the voice I'm currently using, if I was reading to a child or my son, I would read something like, "Look, this is a turtle." And so actually bringing my voice higher would help them learn better. Another really important way about the way you read to your child is the tempo. So you really want to slow down when you're reading to children and make exaggerated mouth movements because they are learning by watching your mouth and tongue. So again, an example of that would be, "Look here. Wow, what is that?" "That's a turtle." And so some of the things I did there was raise my voice an octave, slow down, and really exaggerate the way that my mouth was moving. Another thing you may have noticed I did was point. So pointing can be very helpful in teaching children how to communicate. In my video about how we develop language normally in normal language milestones, I talked about how children develop receptive language before they developed expressive language. So children will learn to point by communicating before they can actually use words to communicate what they want. So by helping them learn that pointing means something from an early age, that helps them be able to communicate with you better from an early age. Interestingly, another piece of evidence shows that children learn better when there's lots of variations in the tone. So going from what is this? What is this? This is a turtle. So making large changes in the actual tone of your voice enhances their language acquisition. Another common misconception is using baby talk to teach older infants language. So while baby talk can be really helpful for infants, and if you want more references on that, you can check out my language hacks potpourri. But baby talk is something like ba 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 ba, la 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 la. And this can be really helpful for the 0 to 4 to 6 month range when they are learning to coo and babble. However, as your child gets older and even starting from birth, I would also advocate for you to use proper pronunciation and grammar with your child, because that is how they are in turn going to learn proper pronunciation and grammar. The last thing you want to do is take some pauses when you're reading to your child. Give them a chance to also communicate back with you. And that may be non-verbally. So pay attention to what they're looking at, if they can point, what they're pointing at. And if they're learning to start to say words like babbling, maybe they're going to try saying the first word, like ba for bird. And if you don't give them a chance to interact back with you, you may miss that. Another really important aspect of reading to children is to be excited and to bring joy and fun to it. If you're excited, children will also learn that this is an exciting thing to do, and it creates a positive association with reading. Another part of helping children develop language skills is to have repetition. So read them the same books with the same words. While it might be a little boring for you, repetition is super important in language skill development. You want to read the same books over and over and over again. So it's better to have maybe 3 or 4 books that are age appropriate that you read over and over again than to have 50 books that are potentially not age appropriate. So speaking of age appropriate, how do you select a book for your baby's age? So as you can see, I have here the Lovevery, one of the Lovevery books. This is a style of book I would really recommend for a newborn, and there's a few reasons for that. One, newborns don't see colors very well. They tend to see high contrast better, which is why I recommend using things like either a newborn baby book in black and white or high contrast cards like this. You want to have, for the newborns, if it's not an exclusive picture book, it should only have 1 word on the page, not a lot of busy distraction outside of the picture. You want to keep, for that age child under 4 months, the book about 12 inches away from them, 10 to 12 inches. Any further away or any closer, they're actually not going to be able to see the book very well yet. This helps them not only work on their communication milestones, but it actually also helps them with their visual development. So an example of reading a book like this to your child may be, again, wow, this is a turtle. This is a whale. And repeating the same words over and over again. You can do similar activities with your high contrast cards. Look, baby, these are clouds. Wow, look at the clouds. I really like the Lovevery age-based toy sets for this because it comes with a really nice explanation about not only how to use these tools, when to introduce them, how to introduce them, and what to expect by age. If you're interested in a Lovevery subscription and you don't have one, we have a code that I'll include in the comments below. Once your baby is a little bit older, you want to graduate to more mature books. As your baby gets bigger, I recommend books like the polka dot books for 2 reasons. 1, it's engaging in the pop sounds. And 2, pointing, teaching your child to point, again, helps them develop their expressive language. And it also helps with their fine motor skill development. So this is a really good strategy to have for one of the older kids. Another example of a good book might be something that has, again, simple sentences as your child gets bigger. So you want to start from books that look like this, high contrast with no words, to then books that maybe have one word, to then books that have one sentence, but not a lot else on the page. The other nice thing about books like this is they're engaging for children to look at. They teach them that there are objects behind here. So the idea of what we call object permanence, or that there's something there that they can't see. And it also helps with those fine motor skills to learn how to turn and open pages. And I do encourage you, as your child gets older, to let them turn the page. I hope you found today's tutorial on how to read to your child helpful. And I will include also below a list of books that I think are particularly good for children from 0 to 12 months old. If you found this helpful, or if you like the information below, please give us a like or subscribe to our channel.
Thank you for watching the Beehive Doc Talks with Dr. Blair Rolnick. For more episodes and her practice, visit BeKindPediatrics.com, and don't forget to subscribe for more parenting tips wherever you get your podcasts. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice. Always seek medical advice from a qualified physician.